You're probably thinking, Alexis, you look like shit. Like, don't you normally look good in these videos? Um, and that is not an invalid train of thought, frankly. I'm currently getting sick, but I did not want to leave y'all without the Azerbaijan Grand Prix Rundown. And so if you are new here, hello and welcome to the video. I'm Miss Rundown. What? This is Miss Rundown. I am Lex, and today we're discussing the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, or Baku. And yeah, it was really eventful. We hit a record high of 6 red flags within quali. So, fun, right? Okay. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button if you please, and turn on all notifications so you never miss I upload. Okay, roll the intro. Okay, y'all. So, this beautiful street circuit is around the city of Baku in Azerbaijan. It is 6.003 kilometers long with a total of 51 laps. There are 20 turns. The top speed is 351.8 kilometers per hour. And it opened in 2006 but held its first Formula One Grand Prix in 2016. And the lap record is held by Charles Leclerc with a 143.009. News since I last spoke to y'all, because there have been 2 Grand Prix that I have missed because I was sick and then I didn't feel good emotionally. And so now we're here. But things that have happened since I haven't spoken to y'all since pre-summer break, so it's been a fat minute. But the 2 drivers for currently Sauber turning into Cadillac are confirmed as Sergio Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez previously drove for Red Bull for 3 years, and before that, he's had a long career in F1. Valtteri Bottas is they're both Grand Prix winners, as well as Valtteri Bottas is, he raced for Mercedes for multiple years. I can't tell you the exact number because I don't remember. And then last weekend, it was brutal for Ferrari fans, having a Charles DNF and Lando Norris also DNF'd, so not a good weekend. And that also exaggerated the gap between the championship leader, Oscar Piastri, and Lando Norris, who are both teammates on McLaren, but are being pitted against each other currently at the moment. Last Grand Prix was won by Max Verstappen, which is going to be important in this. Okay. Free practice 1, McLaren had the possibility to take the Constructors' Championship this weekend. Um, yeah, it was, yeah. I'm gonna be so for real with you, that didn't happen, so it doesn't really matter now. Red flag because Carlos was pulled up the rubber upon one of the, like, barriers. Um, and it happened because he just kind of got locked up on turn 3 and pulled it up. And in free practice 2, Lando brushed 2 and 4, the turns of 2 and 4, and Lando was out. He broke his rear suspension. Not good. Okay. Oscar hits the front and rear tires on turn 15, and George understeers and brushes the wall. In free practice 3, it rained overnight, changing the track conditions as well as the weather. It was much windier. And on the track, Liam Lawson was testing hard tires and he spun. He was fine. Lando crashed in FP2, actually broke his rear suspension, leaving him the engineers to have to do a lot of work. In qualifying, like I said, this qualifying holds the new record of 6 red flags. In quali, in Q1, Alex Albon goes into the wall, causing the first red. He just went too close on the apex in turn 1 and just, um, the McLarens were kind of being sloppy because I don't know why, they just weren't as clean as they normally are. Red, and the second red is because Nico Hulkenberg hits the wall at turn 4. Um, this must be another red, where an Alpine goes off on turn 3 and was just finished. Franco Colapinto got distracted and hit the wall. Ollie Berman hits the wall, went wide, and suspension just went out. Charles wiggles and goes into the runoff. Charles bumps the wall but is able to pull out of it. Q3. Q3. Charles goes into the wall. Red flag, turn 15, starting to rain. Charles just didn't have the grip, and then there was a yellow flag because Oscar goes into the wall, turned red. Oscar just smacked it at turn three, and that was the end. And the pole position is held by Mr. Max Verstappen, followed by Liam Lawson, I believe, and then Carlos Sainz. I will put the ending qualifying results slash the starting grid on your screen now. Okay, the Grand Prix. So, Max Verstappen starts off by cutting off Carlos Sainz and securing his first, and Oscar somehow ended in last. You may be wondering how. We're in one turn, yellow flag, Oscar Piastri went into the wall. The championship leader went into the wall. Ooh. Um, so not great. Uh, it was in turn five and six, and he was just out. He locked up and went straight into the wall. He also jumped the start, meaning he started before all the green lights were going, and then he went into anti-stall and was just fucked. And during this, Charles is able to get in front of Lando, and Fernando is issued a 5-second penalty for a false start. And Albon and Colavento have contact in turn five. Lando has a slow stop, and that's it. Max Verstappen won this race. Uh, I genuinely, I'm sorry, y'all, my nail is really bugging me. This was a very interesting race. I think we're starting to see McLaren kind of lose their dominance, and I'm not saying that I don't think it's a possibility for them to win the championship. I just think they're not as dominant as they were before. And technically now there is a possibility for um Max Verstappen to reclaim the title. And as unlikely as it is, no one expected Max to win in 2021, and yet here we are. Um and then as well as that, I think that with McLaren, they're just getting messy. As well as that, it's difficult for the team having to pit the two drivers against each other, and I think often it causes the strategists to make like stupid decisions just because they're scared of like making people mad. So, I think that Oscar probably will win this season, but I think that, and then I think hopefully next year McLaren will be able to keep this kind of dominance, and Lando will be able to have like a max 2023 type season, you know? This this race just in general kind of felt like 2023, having Max Verstappen be in the front so far away from everyone else. Um I think it's interesting. I don't I think the like Ferrari at the beginning of the year like seemed like genuine contenders for the championship, but now I don't know. Um and so yeah. I I don't know. People have been asking me like how what I think like the championship's going to end up being, and I genuinely have no idea because I believe that like it's just not F1. In the beauty of F1 is that it's so unpredictable, and so you never know what's going to happen. Um but yeah, I think that we're at an interesting spot. We're technically two-thirds of the way through the season, and I'm really curious to see how the teams are going to maneuver their way through this because if Red Bull plays their cards right, Max Verstappen could win his fifth championship. I think there's no doubt that McLaren's going to win the constructors, but I don't know. I mean, there's also been talk of Isaac Hadjar being moved from Racing Bulls up to Red Bull. I don't know the validity of that. That's just like a rumor in the F1 community at this time, but like we all thought they were crazy when they said that Lewis Hamilton was going to Ferrari, and yet here we are. Yeah. I also think Lewis Hamilton is like I genuinely think he may need to hire a therapist. Like my man seems so depressed. I mean, like Charles Leclerc has like been depressed, but like in other news, the British Vogue is Lando Norris is going to be on the cover of British Vogue for this month, which, there are going to be some people who get mad at me for saying this, but at the end of the day, I am a 16-year-old girl. So when I tell you that man looks so good, he looks disgustingly good on the cover. And, ugh. Also, speaking of being accused of just liking F1 for the drivers, the newest joke in the F1 community is that the female equivalent of a performative male is a girl liking F1. Okay, my thing is, you genuine like, okay, I think there probably are some people who like the sport just because it like gets the male attention. I'm sure. If anything, I fear my enjoyment of F1 actually, like, what's the word? Emasculates a lot of people. Or maybe I just date bitches. I don't know. But definitely, like, the last guy I, like, dated, I think was kind of emasculated because I had more masculine interest than he did. So you can imagine how well that relationship turned out. Story time is up. Uh, but yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, I'm like trying to think of any other news that has happened. But yeah, I think we're at such an interesting place in F1 that I'm picking my nails, y'all. I'm sorry. My ADHD is running wild right now and um I think we're at a really interesting place because we're it it's not like anyone could come in and take the championship, but I think with the drivers that are currently in contention, is that the word? For it, are all drivers I love, so I'm happy. But like, okay, I think if how do I say this? Currently, Lando and Oscar have a 25-point difference, and so in theory, if the next race Oscar DNFs again and Lando wins, there is a possibility that they will be tied. So that is interesting. I mean, I think that it's such a I don't know. I really don't know. Genuinely, like, how do I even like say this? Currently, the top three drivers in the Drivers' Championship are Oscar Piastri with 324 points, and then Lando Norris in second with 299 points, and then Max Verstappen in third with 255 points. So Lando and Oscar currently have a 44-point deficit, and Oscar and Max have a did I just say 64, 69 difference? And so there is a possibility for Max to be able to pull this off. We have 8 races left in the season, and so he, in theory, could make it work. And I think Max Verstappen is kind of the driver that you can never fully count out. So I guess we'll see. Like, genuinely, I never know what to say when people ask me, like, who do you think's gonna win? Because genuinely, no idea. But yeah, that is everything that happened in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yeah, I think this race in some ways was kind of nostalgic because it was like Max Verstappen like pulling away so dramatically and then just kind of full sweep. It was very 2022 or 2023-esque and it was kind of sweet, bittersweet because obviously I would have loved Lando to win or something of that along those lines, but life happens. So, yeah. Um The next Grand Prix is going to be held in Singapore, and that is always a fun race. And it is in not next weekend, but the weekend after. Okay. And yeah, you should definitely subscribe and so I can tell you all about it. Okay. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that button if you please, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an upload. And yeah, I love you all. Make decisions and don't do bad things. Ah, roll the outro.